All right. Well, welcome everybody. On behalf of all of the students in CSE 125, welcome to their final demos for the Spring 2025 course. Amazingly, this is the 25th year that we've done 125. Kind of incredible. All right. So for those who are coming back, and it's great to see so many familiar faces, so thank you very much for coming back. You know the drill. For those who are coming for the first time, thank you so much for showing up. The way things are going to work is I'm going to start with a brief introduction just to give you a sense for how the course works, what it's about, and what it looks like. And then we will transition into having each of the 5 groups in the class demo their games. All right, so 125 is a very, very unusual course. It is not like any of the other courses that we teach here in the department. To begin with, one of the goals of the course is to have the students work on a project that is much, much larger than they've ever worked on before. It is just an enormous undertaking. They are working on their project every week of the quarter for the entire quarter. The assignment is really simple. They just have to produce the project by now. And about 50% of the groups have reached that target. Okay. Another aspect of the course is the students work in groups, large groups of 6 or 7, well, 7 these days. We even have a group of 8. And the students do take other courses where they work in groups, but not to this extent, not to this intensity. And they are learning and working in groups of this size on a project that is just absolutely enormous, and that they have to work together to be able to survive. And then another aspect of the course is to have them work on building a system that is extremely challenging. And that has to be high performance, it's distributed, it's networked, it has many, many different kinds of components, and all of those have to mesh together and work together for everything to work in the end. So it's a very, very, very complex system that they work on, and it's incredible that they're able to make it work. Okay. From my perspective, so I come from sort of a systems background, and so my goal as the teacher of the course is to have the students experience what it's like to design and implement a complex distributed system. Okay, so that is the goal. That's what I want to have them do. But to make it fun, that complex distributed system is a multiplayer 3D game. So the assignment that gets handed out at the beginning of the quarter is for them to design and implement a game of their choosing and their implementation. They don't use any game engines. They build the game engine on the client. They build the game server that implements all of the game logic, the physics, all that fun stuff, and they implement a custom network protocol to connect the clients to the server. All right, so everything is coming from the students. And games are very, very complex. And the goal is that we can work on a very, very complex system, but we can have fun while we're doing it, okay? And then one thing that I want you to keep in mind when we do transition to each of the groups demoing the games that they've built, that what you're seeing, everything that you're seeing is coming from the students themselves. And it's just the amount of creativity, the programming skill, the determination, the initiative to be able to put a project together like this in 10 weeks. It's just amazing that all this happens in 10 weeks. So it's almost an impossible assignment, and it's just incredible that the students are able to pull it off. So just keep this in mind when you see these games. It's just incredible. Okay, before I go on a little bit more about sort of how the course works through the quarter, I just want to take this moment for those who have taken 125 and know about 125. There's been one lab in the basement that we've used for 20 years for the course. And during the spring, we would get the lab dedicated to the course. The students take it over. It is for them for the entire quarter. Well, things happened. So last fall, the lab was earmarked to become a machine room. And so all the tables and the computers, and then it started to get transformed into a machine room. And so what had to happen is we had to find a new home. And that new home is on the other end of the basement, B270, okay? Now, what was fantastic, I wasn't quite sure what would happen. We have to change everything, how everything works, how it feels, all that kind of fun stuff. But what was fantastic is that without a hiccup, the students truly embraced their new home. It actually worked out really great. Everything worked out fine. And then in fact, this morning when I went into the lab, it made me wonder, perhaps it was too good of a home for some of the students who spent all night working on their game. Okay. All right, so what's really fascinating for me as the instructor is to be able to witness what it is the students are able to do throughout the quarter, right? So we have 10 weeks. The way the course is structured is in the first week, I do some lectures, and then after that, we actually transition to just group meetings. So it's not a lecture-heavy course. It is very much of a meeting, project meeting style course, so every week. And there's a progression that happens throughout the quarter across these 10 weeks. So when we start out, everybody is very happy, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, sky's the limit. They're going to be, everything is possible, all right? So that's exactly how it is that we want to begin. And then, 10 weeks, it's sort of, usually in a course, a programming assignment, a project might be up to 2.5 weeks long. This is a 10-week long project. So you have to prepare for the long haul. And so, some students, what they'll do is they'll, make sure that they're ready to be able to work in the lab for many weeks at a time. And then there's lots of weeks of development in the middle of the quarter. We get to week 7, the lab starts to become busier and busier with more and more of the students coming in and working together, getting stuff up and running. It's really, really great. And then to me, the thing that always amazes me is at the very end, week 8, week 9, sometimes week 10, Thursday of week 10, something really magical happens, okay? So all of the groups start out by creating a design document about what it is they're imagining their game is going to be like. And so that usually that involves lots of art about sort of imagining what's going to go on. This time we had some actual ASCII art. That was a nice little twist. And then they set off on the journey of implementing it. And by the end of the quarter, all of that concept art turns into reality. And it's just amazing to me every year that I teach this course to see these groups and these students just sort of achieve the impossible in doing this. And it culminates in all of the students being in the lab late last night, working really hard, but also having a good time. The energy in the labs last night was fantastic. It was amazing. It was really, really great. Okay. In doing a course like this, it's really the students who do everything, and then we have a bunch of people to be able to help us out. I just sort of sit there and tell people that everything is going to be okay and it's going to work out in the end. And so I just want to end this with a few acknowledgments. So Cindy Moore, she's our research staff member. She keeps sort of the main 125 server up and running. Aaron McMahon in ETS, he's the one who installs all the lab software so the students can actually get their job done. And then here in QI, Hector, Ruben, Hannah, and Christina, they're the ones who just make this demo possible. It's just really incredible. And then we also have guest lectures from various folks over time. Unfortunately, somebody had to cancel, so we only had one guest lecture this year. But again, it was Tansen Ju, who was a student who took the course, I guess, 10 years ago, something like that. He's been around for quite a while, so it was great for him to be able to come by and share his experiences of working in the games industry with the students. And then finally, I want to thank the TA for the course, Anthony Tarbinian, who's here, because I can truly say that Anthony did all of the heavy lifting in the course. So I just want to give Anthony a hand and thank him for everything that he's done. Okay, so here's what the plan is. What we're going to do is we're going to have each of the groups come up. When the group comes up, they're going to start getting their stuff set up, and then they're going to start telling you who is in their group, and then I'm going to start giving you the story of their game, what their game is about, how it is that where the idea came from, things like that. And then in the demo, what we're going to do is we're going to have volunteers, 2 volunteers from the audience come up and play the game. So we know that the game is not fixed because now we can have volunteers come up and play it. And then we'll have them play the game, and then sort of towards the end of the demo segment, which is about 15 minutes, we will also open it up to Q&A. So if anybody has any questions for the students in the group, while the demo is still going on and winding up, we can do Q&A and sort of overlap it with the end of the demo. All right, so with that in mind, I am done, and we're going to switch over to our first group, Group 2.